2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. I want to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Full Storehouses Appearing Empty. And the scripture that I read in 2 Timothy 3 and 1 pretty much shows what's going to be taking place in these times today, which we're in the last days. And you're seeing a lot of turmoil, a lot of calamities, wars, rumors of wars, hurricanes, so-called natural disasters, which are from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You're seeing protests, you're seeing divisions, you're seeing, poverty growing, jobs being lost. You're seeing people becoming more and more desperate. You're seeing crime going up exponentially. People being robbed, stores being robbed just to make ends meet, just to be able to eat. And one of the main things that's happening right now worldwide is the disruption of the supply chain going on all over the planet. Remember, the agenda of the so-called elite is a worldwide agenda. It's not an agenda to take over one country or one continent or one hemisphere or whatever the case may be. It's a entire or whole world agenda. That's why it's called the NWO. And what's happening off the coast of California, which, we've mentioned this before. I'm not sure what's going on this side over here, because you have a lot of ports over on this side of the world, meaning on the East Coast. You have the Panama Canal. I'm not sure what's going on down there. Maybe, if the spirit hits me out, look into it, see what's going on there. Not too long ago, maybe about a month or so, maybe a little longer, you had that problem with that container ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal, blocking off the rest of the ships from getting through, which that was a setup. But right now you have on the coast of California, you have a whole bunch of ships that are just waiting to dock. As last count, I watched Dabu 7's video. The last count was 61. That was sometime yesterday. I'm pretty sure it's a lot more now. And what's happening as these ships are coming to shore, they're not able to dock and they're not able to offload their merchandise, these different cargo ships or different containers, shipping containers. So what's happening is they're purposely causing the containers not to be shipped. And what they're doing is they're just stacking them and stacking them and stacking them and stacking them at the port to where there's barely any room for these shipping containers. That's why it's taking so long for these ships to offload. And the longer it takes for these ships to offload, the less money they make. Shipping containers being shipped on ships, the shipping containers being shipped through trucks, the truckers, the ship masters of the sea, they count on, the quicker you can offload. They got to be constantly on the move to make money. If they're not moving, they're not making money. So as of yesterday, you had about 61 ships, big, gigantic ships with goods on them, just sitting there in the water, not able to offload their cargo. So things are coming to an abrupt halt. And they've done this systematically because, they're pushing that, they're pushing that card so that that would be like a new form of ID, that card that proves that you're a part of the juice crew. Those of you brothers that's a little older, you know what I mean when I say juice crew. The old juice crew. But you'll be the new juice crew, the new millennium juice crew. All right. And if you don't have that, they're gonna make it difficult for people to operate, which that's leading, because all that's doing is setting everything up for the chip. Because once all these mandates are in place, all this legislation is passed, and everything is ironed out, then the sky is the limit. Remember what Paul Warburg told Nelson Aldrich and them, said, look, we just want to pass the bill. Once it gets into Congress, we can make the necessary provisions and the necessary, they can add whatever they wanted to add into it and take out whatever they wanted to take out of it. The thing is to get it passed. So once all of these mandates and legislation are passed and everything's set up, in Congress, to make these restrictions and mandates mandatory, which that's what the word mandate means, then they'll be able to, do that with anything that they push out there. So pretty much Satan's venomous juice has opened the way for them to close off people from maneuvering in the world, and it's being pushed, and it's being done incrementally, little at a time, which the term is called gradualism. And now you see people looking at you like I was walking into different stores today, grabbing a bite to eat before coming out here, and the different stores I went to, there were Edomites there, there were Jake men there. I would walk in, I didn't have a mask, nobody said anything. A couple of people didn't have masks. Most people had masks. And I went to about 3 different places. And the third place I went to, nobody said nothing to me except for the black woman. She's the one, where's your mask at? That worked there. And I call her a black woman because until she doesn't cross that line to come back to her heritage, to be an Israelite woman from the tribe of Judah, she's just that, a black woman, because she's out of her mind. And I just laughed at it. She said, how did you order like that? And I just kind of like smiled at her. She said, must have been the smile. Make sure you wear your mask. I said, yeah, all right. Fuck out of here. But this is what they're conditioning the people to. So it's going to be hard to navigate in the future, without these restrictions. And that's what they're pretty much doing, cutting everything off. And the main thing that they're cutting off, because like the Spirit had me say before, people could do without cars. They could be homeless. People could do, without many things in this world. But one thing they cannot do without is food and water. Those are the basic necessities of life. Some of the basic necessities of life. So, as we read in 2 Timothy's, the third chapter, and the first verse, just know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, and we're just at the starting point of these perilous times. So what I want to do is go to 2 Timothy 3:1, and I want to look up that word perilous, and then we can get started. Perilous. Kalepos. Hard to do, see? To take, to approach, which is what? These people are going to be in straits. They're going to be put in a position of difficulty. And just like the story you heard Elder Pastor say in the last video he did, with the brother at the camp that works with this one particular individual from IUIC, he was presented with either take the juice, become a member of the juice crew, get your juice card, or lose your job. And he couldn't get the exemption for religious purposes because the Spirit was not with that man. but the spirit was with the brother, and he was with the other brother that I don't know if I believe he had left or got kicked out years ago, and they both got the exemption. They both didn't get the jab, and the one individual from IUIC, he became a member of the Juice Crew. And why is that? Because they put him in a position of difficulty. They put him in a position of straits. Like the word kalepos, which is perilous, means hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to beat, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. And it's going to get savage out here. That's why the scripture say they shall be as madmen, sparing none. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, the Lord is putting his spirit on Esau and on these different agencies that are run by whoever, that their members are from all different nations, to turn up the heat, to make it uncomfortable. And that's what's happening. We're approaching the end of September. You know, a couple more days, you know, probably about another week or so, maybe a little more than a week or so, we'll be in October. A date to look to is October 31st, so-called Halloween. They're saying by that point there's going to be some serious stuff going on. By the middle of the month, you know, a lot of mandates are really going to be pushed heavy. So this is what's going to bring about these perilous times. So now that we read that, matter of fact, you know what? Let me look and see if there's anything that I could look up as far as the word times is concerned. Times. Let's see. Kairos. Do measure. A measure of time. Yeah, because the scriptures say measure the time diligently. A larger or smaller portion of time. Hence, a fixed and definite time. The time when things are brought to crisis. See? And we're coming into the time where things are about to be brought into crisis. The decisive epoch waited for. So now, I want to look up that word crisis in the common dictionary. And just bear with me. I got to look up the word crisis. Let's see. Crisis. Wow. Crisis. Let's try that again. An unstable situation of extreme danger or difficulty. And if you brothers can, Babakushaf, if you could let me know if this, because I know the wind is blowing straight into the mic, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me clearly and that the wind isn't really affecting the lesson. So just let me know, Babakushaf, when you get a chance. I got it as close to my mouth as possible. I'm feeling over here like Michael McDonald about to swallow the mic. All right, the water, brothers. All right. So it says crisis, an unstable situation of extreme danger or difficulty. And that's exactly what we're entering into. We're entering into a crisis. The world is going to enter into a serious crisis. And these are the perilous times that are happening or are coming. That's why Yahweh Shai said, because you have kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them. Okay? So bottom line, you know, this crisis event is going to cause a trickle event or a domino effect of many different things. You know, because when these devils, the scriptures say that they accomplish a diligent search. And when they accomplish this diligent search, the diligent search that they accomplish covers many different things. You know, they want one event that will cover 10, 12, 15, 20 points in their agenda. They want the thing that does the maximum effect. You know, they want something to happen to where if they had 50 steps, they can cut it down to 5 steps to get to their goal or to reach their goal. And this is what they're doing systematically. Within the last little over year and a half, they have brought their vision of this New World Order, going all the way back to 1776 and before that, you know, within something that's been in the making for hundreds of years, within a year and a half, little more than a year and a half, they are they were able to make so many moves that they have their vision or their enterprise within grasp, within view. All right. So now let's go from there to Second Ezra, chapter 6. Second Ezra, chapter 6, and we're gonna start at the first verse. We usually jump to the 7th, 8th, 9th verse, or we jump to the 20th verse, or something, But let's jump to the first verse. Let's read some of this because there's some good points here to make. Second Ezra 6:1. And he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid. So this is at the beginning, before whatever you see in the world actually took place. This was in the preparation. Before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established. The movable powers is a representation of these different governments. Because of different governments that are established, they are movable, because that's why the Lord, rules in the kingdom of men and give it to whomsoever he wants, because he'll set up over who he wants to rule. And there's a time period for each kingdom to rule. He says, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, and this also is a representation of different spirits. It says, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot. So you're talking about at the very beginning stage of the creation of the world. And ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure. So what does this mean? This is talking about being predestined. This is talking about predestination. Everything that you see happening was already predestined. And what the angel Uriel is doing here is he's giving Ezra, the prophet, a blow by blow of the things that are happening and what's going to bring about the end, going all the way back to the very beginning, the very preparations of the world that we see today. It says, then did I consider these things, and they all were made through me alone. Because the Most High had the blueprint, he had the idea that he wanted, he put it all together. He created Yahushai and gave Yahushai the blueprint. So everything goes back to the Most High Yahweh. He's the one that created everything. This is according to his plan. Nobody was there next to him, giving him counsel on how to set it up. He set it up according to how he wanted to set it up. Had the master blueprint already laid out. Then he created Yahushai, and then Yahushai, he gave Yahushai the orders, and Yahushai did the rest. All right? It says, and through none other, by me also, they shall be ended, and by none other. So the Most High gave a beginning point of the creation, and he gave an ending point of the creation. And in the ending point of the creation, when Yahushua came 2,000 years ago, he gave us a blow by blow of things that would be taking place on the earth. These different commotions, the different famines, the different wars and rumors of wars and the different pestilences, whether created or not. And everything that we see going on was everything that was mentioned 2,000 years ago and beyond that would be taking place in this time now, so that we could know that the end is being made manifest and the kingdom of heaven is ushering in. So that's why you see everything going on. This is why the Lord got this, because you got to remember, when these devils go to sleep, the Lord seals their instructions. And remember, it says that their heart is deep. and that they're wearied in their multitude of their counsels, and they accomplish a diligent search. So they're constantly working, on how to um, establish their enterprise, establish their vision, and the Lord is manipulating them, whether it be through dreams, visions, or just putting the instructions inside of them to do the things that they're doing, to set up the agendas that they're setting up, to cut the people off, to get the people into a desperate mind state, to get the people to starve and be thirsty and so on and so forth, to make their life miserable, to have them feel that through deception, of course, make them feel that if they comply with these mandates, then they would be allowed to go back to their normal life that they had prior to this. And I don't know if y'all remember, but the Spirit was on Elder Pastor back in 2020, I believe it was. He said once 2021 comes in, you're going to be wishing for the good old days of 2020. And we seeing it happen. Because they're saying, what? If you comply with this, that, and the other, if you get your card and become a Juice Crew member, Juice Crew All-Star member, then things will go back to normal. You'll be able to have a decent, normal life once again, the way it used to be. But no. It ain't going to happen. Those were all the machinations of the devil, of Esau, to get the people to comply. Like you had this video that brother sent me of, I'm not sure if she was an Irish woman. She's like portly woman. She was talking about how she took the, I'm not sure if it was Moderna or Pfizer. And then she said she was feeling like, at first she was fine. Then she started feeling hot flashes and she started feeling crazy and her face turned raw red or something like that, and she was feeling funny, and then she said she felt like she was going to have a heart attack, and then she starts crying. And the government is confusing us, this, that, and the other. Now I'm having second thoughts of taking this and this, that, and the other, and blah 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 blah. And I did it for my family, and I'm sitting there looking at this video of this woman complaining about doing that, and I'm pretty sure that other people told her don't take that because so and such and such and such and such. He said, oh, so you're one of those, huh? And so she went. She was emboldened. She went. She took it. She got her card. She's an official member of the Juice Crew All-Stars. But now she's regretting taking it. And she's sitting there crying on video. And she wants people to feel sorry for her. And I know. Because it's all in the news. The ones that are for the Juice Crew and the ones that are against the Juice Crew. And they're pinning people one against another, as they always do, divide and conquer. So I know that she knows about this argument that's going on because it's something that's worldwide. But now that she takes that, she got her card, she put her John Doe or Jane Doe on there. Now she is a member of the Juice Crew All-Stars, and now she's saying she regrets taking it. She says she don't know if she did the right thing, and she's crying because she don't know if she messed herself up. That's on you. These people are a trip. They do shit, and then they have warnings of what not to do, and then when they do what you tell them not to do, and it comes back to bite them in the ass, they want you to feel sorry for them. Unbelievable. But what it is it all goes back to what this devil is doing. So all of these different things that they're setting up and putting into the media and getting the people going, this is all set up. This is all a part of the plans of the Most High to get this agenda cracking, popping, oozing, to bring forth the end so that the prophecies can be fulfilled. This is Job 12:16. With him is strength and wisdom with the Most High. The deceived and the deceiver are his. So the ones that are doing the deception are his, and the ones that are being deceived are his. So it's on both sides. Because the Most High ultimately controls everything. He creates the right hand and the left hand. He creates righteousness and wickedness. And when you try to explain this to people, they don't get it. All right, so let's go back to 2nd Ezra 6. Now we're going to jump to the 11th verse. I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens. Because one thing the prophets always wanted to know was what the end was going to be, because they were in the spirit. They knew that once all of the hardships came through, once the Messiah came on the scene and did what he had to do, suffer what he had to suffer, the kingdom would be coming after that. So they were always looking for the reward every time they were here. But they were thinking that it was coming in their time, but unbeknownst to them, it wasn't. They were writing these things for us today, because today is the time. We're in the times of the very end. We're in the times where all of these things are being made manifest and are going to be made manifest. So this is 1 Peter chapter 1, and I'll start at 9. Receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls, because salvation comes at the end. You hear these wacky tacky Christians talking about that, oh, that I went to church so and so on such and such a date and such a year, and I accepted Jesus in my life, and I was saved that day. Meanwhile, they got rheumatism, they got colon cancer, they got breast cancer, they got pancreatitis, they got all kind of shit going on, dementia setting in, Alzheimer's, Parkinson, all kind of shit, lupus, but they're saved. We receive our salvation at the end. We are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not. But if you see the salvation, then how can you hope for something that you're seeing? We're saved by hope. So it goes on to say, of which salvation the prophets have inquired and searched diligently. When you read through the book of Ezra, you see how diligent Ezra was to ask the angel all these different questions and asking him how and when, and show me this, you showed me that, and he went through extremes. He was fasting, he didn't have anything to eat or drink for 3 weeks or so or more, and then he went through a period of not eating anything but just the flowers of the field, just to be able to understand and see and get the mysteries of what was going to happen in the past. I mean, in the future. It says, who prophesied of the grace that should come unto you, because all of the prophets prophesied about Yahushai. And that is the grace that was to come unto us. Because in order for us to receive the promises, we had to have an ultimate sacrifice to clean our slate for good. Because the blood of animals, goats, so on and so forth, was not good enough. So they knew that once this grace that would come to us eventually, which it did 2,000 years ago, then they figured that immediately after that, the kingdom would come. This is why the apostles and them, once Yahushua raised from the grave, they said, will thou at this time restore the kingdom to Israel? But it wasn't time at that time. There was still a lot to happen. So it says, searching what manner of time the spirit of Yahushua, which was in them, did signify, when it testified beforehand the sufferings of Yahushua and the glory that should follow after. Then it says, unto whom it was revealed that not unto themselves, but unto us they did minister the things which are now reported unto you by them that have preached the gospel unto you with the Holy Spirit sent down from heaven, which things the angels desire to look into. So it wasn't during their time, but the Apostle Paul said in Hebrews 11 chapter that those prophets without us, it goes, how does that scripture go? That they without us would not be made perfect, because the prophets would come back in this time and the reward would be sure to them. And that's when the total perfection would happen, because that's when everything would be accomplished. Because the prophet's reward is not going to be given to anybody else that's not a prophet, except for those that give a prophet a cup of cold water in the prophet's name. and they'll get a prophet's reward because they helped the prophet. But the prophets will not lose their reward to anybody else. You're not going to have a false prophet that came back many different times on the earth, being a false prophet, deceiving people, having them under spells and all that. And then all of a sudden, at the very end, he comes and he gets delivered and he gets saved. Fuck out of here, man. All right, let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 6. Now let's read 12 again. I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest part the last night. And prior to these verses here, the angel told him that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So one key factor, besides everything that we see on the earth happening has been prophesied, is that the Edomite nation would be ruling in these times, at the time of the end. And there's plenty of scriptures that show that when Yahushua comes back, the very person that they're coming to bring judgment upon are the Edomites. Why? Because the Edomites would be the top government ruling on this planet, because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. How about that? So he answered and said unto me, stand up upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice, and it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. And therefore when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. Yeah, because he's making them to understand that there's a process to take place. But although the prophets were given great visions that we read about now and are able to break down now, they didn't fully understand everything. They may have known that it was talking about the end. They may have known certain things, but as far as to fully understand it, they didn't fully understand. That's why Yahushua told the disciples, blessed are ye, for many prophets and great men desire to see the things that you see and have not been able to. See? The hell is this devil doing? And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. So there has to be a change. That's why we're looking for new heavens and a new earth, hastening new heavens and a new earth, so that this place can be put down and the kingdom of heaven established. So there's a set time frame for these things to occur, and once that set time frame, like you set your alarm clock, right, to get up. Let's say you set your alarm clock, you got to be at work by, let's say, 6 in the morning or 6:30. You might set your alarm clock for 5:15, maybe 5:30 if you're lazy, like most of us are. Just joking. Because you want to try to get that last 5 minutes in, because those be like the sweetest, 5-10 minminutes. You get, how it is in the morning. Oh man, if only I could sleep 2 more minutes or 5 more minutes, because it's sleep do be sweet to a laboring man. Then when you set that alarm clock, the night is going through. You get into the morning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock rock. You get like 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. And if you set the alarm clock for 5:15, the alarm clock is not going to go off at 5:05. The alarm clock is not going to go off at 5:10, unless there's something wrong with your alarm. The alarm clock is going to go off once it reaches the very last second that it clicks from 5:14 into 5:14:59, and then when it clicks over the next second, 5:15, that's when the alarm clock is going to go off. That's the same thing with the prophecies. There's a time frame for the prophecies. Once the last second is counted down and that prophecy is to be fulfilled, boom, that's when it drops. So we go to Habakkuk 3:1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid, because he knew about the prophecies that were about to take place. Because remember, the prophets knew. It says, O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. So what does it mean to revive something? To mean to bring it back to life. It did not in the second chapter says at the end it shall speak and not lie. So this is what the prophet Habakkuk is speaking about, because in the second chapter the Lord showed him certain things, and he showed him that at the end it will speak and will not tarry. So he's coming back in the third chapter and say, Lord, revive thy works in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. Now there's a precept here for the word revive. This is the second chapter, 3 and 2. The word there is thy report. All right. Let's see, thy report, or thy hearing, or thy report, or thy hearing. So revive thy work, or thy report, because the report is what? The Lord says so and such will take place, and he does not stir them until the set measure is fulfilled. And then once that set measure is fulfilled, and it goes to the very last second, clicks on to prophecy time, boom, that's when the prophecies start ringing. So it says, and that's pretty much it, revive thy works. And that was because we just read in 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 15, it says, and therefore when it speaketh, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. So it's speaking now. I'm sorry, the 16th verse. And why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved. Yeah, because it's, when you are going to give a speech, you're silent usually prior to giving the speech. And then once it's your turn to speak, boom, then you start to speak. All right. So that's when it starts moving forward. It says, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. So even if Esau didn't do anything to move these prophecies forward, which he's doing because the Lord put the Spirit on him, but even if he didn't do anything, once the set measures comes, the last second comes and clicks, and it's prophecy time, something somewhere somehow is going to make that prophecy come to life. So it says, and it happened that when I had heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. This is Yahweh speaking. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, because Yahweh is on his way, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. So now how is the Lord visiting them that dwell upon the earth? Let's go from there to the book of Zephaniah 3 and 5. It says, the just Lord is in the midst thereof, because the Lord is always, he's everywhere. He's omnipotent, he's omnipresent, all-knowing. He will not do iniquity. So whenever you see the evils in the city, the Lord ain't doing iniquity. He's just bringing judgment, man. Every morning does he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. Yeah, because the ones that are not, their mind is not open and have no shame, that are not shamefaced, that are not fearful of the Lord, they don't have any shame about what's going on. So it says, let's read that again in 2nd Ezra 6 and 18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. And that's what's happening right now. Another scripture says the Lord's going to visit these people with thunders and storms and earthquakes, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So right now, the Lord is causing the prophets, the men of the Lord, to stand up, teachers, and go out here in the streets, which is the main concourse, the broadways, the main avenues to teach this word. And one of the messages, besides, the greatest message, which is the gospel of the Israelites being delivered, is the injustices that were done to the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. These are the injustices that have been done to us. And the Lord is putting the Spirit on us to tell this devil the injustices that they've done to us and what's going to happen to them. Because before the Most High brings forth judgment, he brings forth warning. He brings forth, you know, a telling, a herald to tell these different nations what their future is. Just like when you read through the book of Jeremiah, and say unto Moab, and say unto Ammon, and unto the Edomites, and unto the children of Israel, and unto the tribe of Judah, and unto the Egyptians, and unto so and so and so, you know, because the Lord gives them their warning, and he tells them that they've committed an offense, and he tells them that they're going to be judged. And after all of that, then the Lord brings the judgment. So it goes on to say, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away. So in other words, he's letting them know that everything that we read up until this point, how you're going to know that the end of the world is going to be here. It says, shall be finished. So when this world that begins to vanish away, or when it shall begin to vanish away, and when it's finished, then will I show these tokens. So there were certain tokens or signs that were going to be shown to let us know that the Lord is ushering in the end of the world. And one of them is the books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. So what is the firmament? That should be a question. If you're a wise individual, wise person, your first thought would be, okay, so what's the firmament? And we know, going back to Genesis, the first chapter, that the firmament is what Esau calls today the ozone layer, which was a belt of radiation that was put around the earth to separate the atmosphere from space from the atmosphere inside of the earth, because the atmosphere inside of the earth is different from the atmosphere in space. You know, that's a scripture, you know, that's a lesson going into Genesis, the first chapter. You know, if a brother would like to tackle that, we haven't gone into that in a while. You know, if the Spirit is on a brother to do it, hey, get down. All right, so if we know that the firmament now is the ozone layer, how? Because it says the books shall be open before the firmament. So what is the book or the books? It's talking about the Bible. So how can the books be open in the firmament? Up in the how is somebody gonna take a plane up there, a hot balloon, a helium-filled balloon, the Hindenburg or whatever that was called, Goodyear blimp? You know, are they going to take a plane up there, a space shuttle? Is that what Elon Musk and them went up there too, to open up the books, you know, in space? The Dragon? No, it's talking about their satellites. And why is that? Because a satellite, matter of fact, let's look up the word satellite, see what goodies we could find on an offline dictionary for the word satellite. Right. Satellite. Man-made equipment that orbits around the earth or the moon, okay? A person who follows or serves another. Any celestial body orbiting around the planet or star. Broadcast or disseminate via satellite. All right, so what does it mean to broadcast? Matter of fact, we have the term here, broadcast. Let's go. Broadcast. Message that is transmitted by radio or television. All right. Broadcast over the airwaves, as in radio or television. So what are the airwaves? What is the job of these satellites? The job of these satellites, because you have satellite dishes on the earth and you have satellite dishes in the heavens. This is why you have your 4G, your 3G, 4G, 5G networks. You know, everything works off of frequencies. They all work off of signals. When there's a signal coming from the earth, it goes directly to the satellites up in space, or inside the ozone layer, or outside, wherever they got it. I'm guessing inside the ozone layer, because that's heaven also, but that's the second heaven. The second heaven. These signals that are broadcasted from here or transmitted from here. Matter of fact, let me look up the word transmit. Transmit. Transfer to another, transmit or serve as the medium for transmission, broadcast over the airwaves as the radio. That's the same thing as the other one. Send from one person or place to another. Yeah, that's how you transmit, to send across. So pretty much the satellites that are on the earth, send out a signal. That signal goes to the satellites that are up in space. That in turn, so that one signal that hits that satellite or satellites in turn sends out many signals. And those signals go all the way around the world. And the way they have it connected through the internet. So anyone on the planet that has internet service can watch a particular video anywhere in the world where they may be. So going back to 2007, 2005, 2006, because that's when YouTube was started, I believe 2005, and then you had Israelites on YouTube 2006. We could have got on there 2006, but the Spirit didn't allow that. The Spirit didn't want us to go in 2006. In 2007, around mid-July, Spirit got on Elder Apostle Tar and Elder Bishop Ayatun, to set up that whole thing, and they put, Elder Bishop Ayatun, put the videos up on YouTube, and that started the transmission, or that started the opening up of the books in the firmament. And that message started to convey around the world, because although you had other Israelite groups that were on YouTube, there wasn't really too much noise going on as far as the Hebrew Israelites were concerned. I remember one video, it was about 30 seconds long. The dude was going, he was going hard. But you couldn't understand a word he said. So that was pretty much what? It was useless. He was going hard, whatever he was saying, but you couldn't hear a word he was saying. All you heard was just a bunch of growling. So in mid-July 2007, video after 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 video, just all the way down the line, through the Spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemal Shai, started being put up on YouTube by Great Millstone. The Spirit jumped on Elder Apostle Tar and push. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, 2016 was the year of the push, if I'm not mistaken. So it was all about pushing, and it was to the point where the other camps, other groups of Israelites, they didn't like us, but the conviction, the zeal, the passion, the energy, the inspiration that Yahweh Shemal Shai put upon us to put all these videos out made them get involved in that manner. I mean, they don't really, because see, in Great Millstone, every laborer is working, or supposed to be working, and pushing out video after video after video as much as the Spirit allows. So it's not just coming from one or two or three people or a handful of teachers. It's coming from all of the teachers of Great Millstone. So in one day there could be over 1,000 videos or more going up. Some brothers do 2-3 videos, and that caused these other groups, as much as they don't like us, to step their game up, so to speak, and put up more and more videos. But that was a Spirit, because why? The books were being opened in the firmament of the heaven, because this was ushering in the end of the world. So this is how we know that we're in the end of the world. Then it goes on to say, and I'm going to skip the 21st verse. I'm just going to go straight to the 22nd verse, because remember, Yahweh Shai spoke about wars, rumors of wars, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places, the seas and the waves thereof roaring. Then he spoke about famines. And this is the 22nd verse says, and suddenly, hold up, wait a minute, hold up. Look up the word suddenly. Suddenly, life has no meaning to me. Inside joke. All right, suddenly, happening unexpectedly, quick and without warning, on impulse without premeditation. So suddenly is on the fly, quickly. So it says, suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. So how have the sown places, what are the sown places? The sown places are these different farms. And what has happened within the last year and a half plus? Bill Gates and some of the other devils out there, super rich, are doing what? They're buying up all the farmlands. They're putting restrictions on the farmers. You know, they're telling them to kill off their livestock. You know, a lot of fruits and vegetables are spoiling because they're they have an agenda. And now that they disrupted, you know, the different manufacturing companies or so-called butcher shops where they mass produce, you know, or mass kill and chop meat and all of that is slowly but surely shut down. Then once they got all that under control, now they're stopping trucks from rolling in. Now they're stopping ships from docking on the docks. Now they're whatever ships offload, they're pretty much it's like a rationing of container ships that are allowed to move. You know, because they're systematically shutting everything down. And what happens is whenever you go to a grocery store, you have at least, it used to be about 3 days supplies. Now, depending on what it is, it might be a little less than that because as more and more people are born on the earth, people are needing more and more supplies. So you might be lucky if you have like 2 days supply, you know, but let's say 3. And what you have is you have distribution. You have different storehouses or different warehouses that store your goods, whether it's orange juice, milk, whether it's dry goods, whether it's canned goods, you know, whatever it may be. And whenever supplies go short, you have a person within the grocery store that does inventory. And the person that does inventory, their job is to go throughout the store, find out what they're short on, write it down, and put in an order. And the order may say, well, you know what, we need this order. Today's Wednesday. We need this order in by Saturday or whatever the case may be. You know, and that goes on every couple of days. You know, they'll go around the store, boom, we need this, we need that, we need that. And what you're doing is you're ahead of time asking your distributors to send you, you know, these particular goods at this particular date. But what's happening now is that the shipping containers are not moving as fast as they used to because they're restricting them. But the orders are still coming in because the people are still buying. So those storehouses are starting to dwindle. That's why you go to certain places or certain restaurants or certain whatever, and you're trying to find your favorite whatever, and it's not there because there's a lot of shortages happening because of the disruption that's happening. And that's what's causing this disruption. You know, the red tape and the this and the that and the holding back and the nope, you know, look, the truckers are ready to go and said, nope, just leave the merchandise there on the dock. You know? And if the truckers strike, it's just going to make the problem worse. But this is all systematic. Because it says, suddenly, where we at? Oh, Salaki, before I read that, because we read the sown places shall appear unsown. So we go here to 2nd Ezra 15 and 13. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn. Why? Because you got to understand that these farmers and their families count on growing these foods and selling them to these different distributors or these different grocery stores or local stores or whatever the case is in order for them to make ends meet. And that's how they're able to maintain, their farms. That's how they're able to maintain their tractors and the different tools that they use for farming, their animals, their family, their land, making payments or whatever, taxes or whatever the case is. So if things are not coming off of there, they're not making any money. So they're mourning. It says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail and with a fearful constellation, because you have something called the Farmer's Almanac. And the Farmer's Almanac gives you, they look into the heavens and prognosticate what's going to happen for the next year or so in the crops. And they're seeing that the crops are not going to do so good. Why? Because there's a disruption going on. Outside of, different plagues, like locusts or different things that are destroying the crops that they do have. So going back to 2nd Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. So those storehouses that were holding of surplus, let's look up that word surplus. The word suddenly and surplus. Oh. Suddenly. Okay, so let's look up surplus. Surplus. A quantity much larger than is needed. More than is needed, desired, or required. All right? And why? And because these are just in case something happens where a particular type of good or goods don't come in, they have a surplus. Says, oh, don't worry about it. We can withstand a week or two of this. But then when you start going into months, then when that particular whatever runs out, that particular product runs out, guess what? They got nothing else. They can't ship it because they're not getting it in. And what this brings is shortages, what you see going on right now, and shortages can lead to price gouging. Let's look up the word gouging, because that's what happened during 2020. You would go to certain Ishmaelite stores, and a little bottle of alcohol that you may pay 79 cents for in the past, you were paying like $10, $15 for. Let's see something. Gouge. An impression on the surface, an edge tool with a blade like a trough for cutting channels or grooves, the act of gouging, force with the thumb, obtained by coercion or intimidation, which is, they extorted money from the executive by threatening to reveal his past to the company boss. Yeah, and this is pretty much price gouging. It's also a term called supply and demand. When the supply is low and the demand is high, they can set their own prices. But if you have an overabundance, because during that so-called situation that happened, some companies bought tons and tons of alcohol and were selling them for $5, whatever the case is. Now they have an over surplus of it, so now they put them back on the shelf, 2 for $5. Which they're still getting over on you, because years ago, or maybe like a year, about a year and 2 years ago, that same bottle of alcohol was 79 cents, 99 cents at the most. Now it's almost double the price. Systematic, man. Okay, let's see what else we got. Verse 23. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Yeah, because things are going to get hard. Perilous times are coming. At that time shall friend fight one against another like enemies. Why? Because of desperation. Because of division. Because the Juice Crew All-Stars are going to come against the ones that didn't make the grade or didn't make the cut. And the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. Yeah, because it's going to be a lot of fearful things happening. That's when you're going to have Jacob's trouble. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. And you know that this is going to cause water shortages. It could cause them, if you don't get this card and become a member of the Juice Crew, we're going to shut off your water. You're not going to be able to drive. You're going to take your license, because remember, it's a privilege. You should feel honored to have this driver's license and be able to drive around in this city. Yeah, I know you're supposed to be able to drive around free, but we gave you the privilege. So If you don't comply, guess what? You'll be denied. Oh Lord, these devils are too much, man. So it says, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape. This is dealing with the elect, and see my salvation and the end of your world, because these things is what's going to be taking place. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth, and the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turn into another meaning, for evil shall be put out and deceit shall be quenched. Yeah, because eventually, this is happening now to a certain degree, but eventually in the kingdom, evil is going to really be put out. It says, as for faith it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which hath been so long without fruit shall be declared. You know, and that's where the times that we're heading into right now. Now, the last precept I have, which I only had, it's funny, that's to show you how the Spirit works. I didn't have any precepts except for like 2. And then as I started the lesson, 1 more came to mind. So I only really had 3 precepts for this lesson, but the Spirit provided. For that. So let's go to Ecclesiastes 12, because I want to bring out a point out of there. You know, we're at the hour and 1 minute mark. Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not. And evil days are coming. Remember, we read about perilous times, right? It says, nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. You know, when you get older, you know, because when you're in your youth, you're vibrant, you know, you're vigorous. You know, you have that strength, but then when you get older, you fall apart. Well, the earth is on a decline also, because the earth has lost her youth. And the closer we get to all of these prophecies being fulfilled and the end coming, the closer this place, or the more this place becomes more and more corrupt. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Yeah, this is talking about Esau's downfall. This is talking about the people losing, you know, their wits about them. You know, it's talking about the Lord bringing this destruction. So before this destruction come, when there's nothing else left here, it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Now, who are the keepers of the house? The keepers of the house, there's a term called economy in the New Testament. The keepers of the house are those that maintain the house. Well, you have a term in the Greek, oikonomia. Oikono or oikos is Greek for house. All right, so oikonomia is the maintaining of that house. Through what? Through finances, because you need money in order to keep the upkeep of anything, property, homes, or whatever the case may be. So these individuals that are in charge of the maintenance of America and of the world, they're going to be trembling, because they're going to be like, oh snap, do you see what's happening? Good movie to watch. I believe that was Margin Call, when this one individual was trying to warn them that, you know, there was a disruption about to happen in the economy, and they didn't want to hear him at first, and then people was partying, drinking, and then all of a sudden when it really hit them in the face, they all stopped and went to see what could be done to get this thing rolling back how it was. Because they wanted to, come on, baby, let the good times roll. They don't want America to finish. You know, and then they were sitting there trying to, you know, reason, and then things just started to fall apart. That's where you have something called a fire sale, trying to sell everything that they can for as much as they can to make a profit before the whole shithole goes down in flames. All right, so let's see. Keepers of the house shall tremble. The word for tremble is zawai. I believe that's a Y. Can't really make it out too well. Zawai. To tremble, quiver, quake, be in terror. So why would they be in terror? Because when you watch that movie, I believe it was Margin Call, when you watch that movie, once the people found out their little gravy train was coming to an end, there was a somber spirit. There was a somber spirit. There was an actual somber spirit that was taking place. You know, a real somber spirit that was taking place, among, the people. And they were all down and out. They were, hoping for those good old days to come back. But that wasn't the case. And that's why, like the scriptures say, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Take balm for her, if so be she may be healed. This place is finished. There's no dollar amount. There's no anything, law-wise or whatever the case may be, that can keep this place going anymore. Because this place is finished. And this is, in America, Babylon the Great is the capital of the world. This is the head of the empire, the new revival of the ancient Roman Empire with her allies. So this place is finished because the Lord has numbered her days. So going back to, a matter of fact, let me look up that word, keepers. Keepers of the house. And in the New Testament is oikonomia, which are the keepers of the economy, or the keepers of the house. Let's see. Keepers of the house. Keepers. Shamar. Yeah, the watchers. So who are the watchers? Some of the main watchers are these economists. Esau. These people in Wall Street. They trade. They make investments for the people that invest. They're the ones that are in charge and make them money. And nobody wants to invest in a company or a product that's not making any money. If they make an investment, they put capital into something, they want a return. And they want a good return. I mean, a little return is good, but a lot of return is better. So the more the return, the happier they get. The less the return, the less happy they are. But the loss is what's devastating. All right, so let's go back. It says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves. So why would a strong man bow themselves? Because they see their defeat is imminent. And that's why the scriptures say that a lot of these military men, I say, because they're supposed to be the ones in the fight, they're going to see their defeat. They're going to be, like the scriptures say, they're going to be as women. They have forborne to fight. They're not going to want to fight because they're seeing, a lot of them are seeing that this place is nothing but bullshit. All of the things that they believed, all of the things that were fed unto them is nothing but a bunch of bull crap. It says, and the grinders cease because they are few. Now, what are the grinders? Let me see. There's a precept there for number 3. The grinders fail because they grind little. And you see that happening. Why are these different stores closing down? Because the work is not there. There's not enough work. It tells you that way in Isaiah 19 chapter, there shall be no work for head or tail to do. And we see that happening plainly. Those that look out the windows be darker. Hold on, there's a note here. What does this note say? The grinders fail because they grind little. Okay, so grinders cease. So let's look up the word grinders. The word there is tachan, to grind, crush. Right here it says to grind meal. Hence to be a concubine, because that's what the concubines do. They get grinded. That being their employment, yeah, because that's what they're hired for. They're hired to, to do things. And that's pretty much what grinding is an employment. All right, the grinders cease. Let's look up the word cease. The word there is batal, to cease, to desist. You heard the term cease and desist. To desist from labor. So we're seeing this happening right now worldwide. People losing their jobs because of not enough business coming in, not enough people buying different products, not enough people eating at these different restaurants. Then you have the other side where you have people that are in prominent positions leaving their jobs, whether it be nurses, doctors, teachers, or whatever the case may be, because they don't want to get, they don't want to be a member of the juice crew. They don't want to take Vicky's venom. So they're opting to lose their jobs, and be jobless, than to do that. So on all levels, this whole shithole is going down. So it says, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Who are the ones that look out of the windows? The ones that are investing for the future. The ones that are investing for the future are the ones looking out of the windows. That's dealing with these people that are investing capital into into these different products that are coming up on the stock market. The stockbrokers that are in charge of taking the people's money and making the right investments. Everything is being darkened because everything is falling apart. Because everything is being disrupted. And it's getting bad. It's getting really, 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 really bad out here. And it's going to get worse. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of this grinding is low. And you see that. You go to different booming cities that were booming financially, that were booming economically, which is the same thing, that were booming business-wise. A lot of those stores are shut down. I went to a particular mall recently, and I saw where a particular one of them big stores was at, and they're closed down, and that was Macy's. Now, you would never think Macy's would close down. Them big stores, and those big stores are owned by the international bankers, the Fortune 500. And some of those stores are closed down because one thing that John Todd said, that they want to bring an economic crash to the world, even their own businesses, but yet they'll still be so financially stable to where they can withstand losing these different businesses and that particular type of money. Because you're talking about people that are multi-trillionaires. They have lack of nothing. They have more than heart can wish. And their whole system and their whole agenda is predicated upon them making people comply to them for the want of all things. What was that? Schwab? What's his name? Something Schwab? Isn't he the one that said, you will own nothing and be happy? Because that, at the end of the day, this is what they want. Yep, they used to have the Macy's Day Parade. Yep. And it's finished, man. The mirth is ceased, as it says in Isaiah, the 24th chapter. So this place is done. It's finished. It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And because, an individual once told me that slow business is better than no business, but too much slow business, right? Klaus Schwab, the water, Gabar Yahweh, Klaus Schwab. He told me that slow business is better than no business, but too much slow business will eventually bring your business to a halt. Because you're gonna have your slow days, you're gonna have your days where you make up. But if every day is slow, then you can't go any further than that. Because eventually the money that you invested in that place and the money that you saved, you're going to end up dwindling it. And people are opting to bail out and to live off of their savings than to try to keep that business open. And these are the plans of the bankers. Because they want no one to be self-sufficient. They want everyone to be relying on them. Because ultimately they want to make total slaves of the world. Anyone that's not an international banker, that's not a part of that club, they want to be slaves. There's a big club and we're not part of it. So it says, sound of the ground is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, meaning early in the morning, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low, because everything is going to be shut down. We go to and ultimately the Lord's going to destroy this place by thermonuclear destruction. And when we read Revelation 18, it says that the sound of the viol shall be heard no more at all in thee. So all of this stuff is going to be shut down. It's systematically shut down. There's a reason why everything is lousy now. The food is lousy. The music is lousy. A lot of these movies that are coming out are lousy. These sitcoms are lousy. Everything is lousy because it's coming to a head. Now I have this book that I got from this individual that used to be in the school years ago. It's about the Roman Empire. It said that one of the things that brought them down, of course, the finance, the spreading too thin of the military, but one thing that brought them down was the lack of creativity in music, poetry, all of that. So these are all contributors to a thriving society, economy, the people, you know what I'm saying? The creativity, art, all of these different things, and eventually what happens? It shuts down. So we're at the close of this American Empire / Babylon the Great. Hey, that's a title for a lesson for a brother. We're at the close of the American Empire or something like that, something along those lines. And you can put in parentheses Babylon the Great, if brothers want a title for a lesson. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been I pray that your brothers have. I was reading the word empty on the page. I pray that your brothers have been edified. Keep your eyes open on these shortages. We as brothers always say, stay prayed up. Perilous times are coming, but remember, the Lord said He's going to protect us. He's going to take care of us. My servants shall what? Shall eat, because you have kept the word of my patience. I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them. So with that, I pray that your brothers and your few sisters have been edified. Shalom to the sincere brothers. If any of the apostles or bishops or elders or brothers out there watching, Yahweh Bashem El Shai Brakathum to you brothers. A strong shalom to you sincere sisters. And blessings from the Lord Yahweh Bashem El Shai to you also. And with that, I pray that you've been edified. Until the next time I say shalom.